Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Economic. It's been a long time. So I have a quick update on the stock market cyclicality. We are taking today the Ftse-Mib, which is the largest, not the largest, but the most known benchmark for Milan Stock Exchange equities, and it's actually on a very high level. It has at an historical all-time high, and among the most bizarre things that I could have appreciated is that the value of the Ftse-Mib, it's actually the same as or pretty much similar of the Dow Jones Industrial Average. So we see here the Dow, it's 49,368 points. The FTSE now it's pricing 48,500 points, more or less. But a few days ago they were 49. They had the same price, which is a misnomer because the U.S. economy is a 30 trillion plus. I don't know. It's almost 30 trillion economy, $30 trillion size of economy, 100 trillion plus stock market, and Italy it's more or less is a 2 trillion euro economy, and so forth. So it speaks volume of the wild mispricing in equities, in financial assets, European equities vis-a-vis United States equities, which they are both very much overpriced. But rather than price, they are from a cyclicality standpoint, they are overextended, and there is a bearish divergence between the all-time highs, new highs that are made every day, compared to the underneath long-term cyclicality of the stock market, which is a little bit different. The same thing it's for the Ftse-Mib, and here we have a so-called blow-off top at what it was here. I don't know what was here. The 2000, and here we have 2007, so it has gone way above the 2007 past most recent peak of the market, and this is clearly a blow-off top. We see that the month candle, it's a dodgy, so there is a lot of wick above and below the body of the candle. It's basically does not exist at all, so there is a lot of uncertainty, and I think this is a lot of volume, weak volume that has been has evaporated at the top of the market, basically. That's why it's a blow-off top, and I will share with you the underneath, the long-term cyclicality of the market, and I will give you a bit of context to understand what is the bearish divergence between the cyclicality and the very overextended valuation of Milan Stock Exchange equities basket in aggregate, which is no way that the Ftse-Mib, its one contract is 48,500 points, and the Dow Jones Industrial Average is a little bit 49,300 points. They are more or less not the same value, but there is no much difference in equities risk premium between a $30 trillion, $100 trillion plus stock market economy and the Italian economy, which it's a 2 trillion euro economy, and the financial services, they are not remotely in 10 billion light years anywhere near the United States. So there is a clear mispricing. I could stop the video here. You can stop watching here, because before going into the technicalities of the cyclicality, if you want to stay and watch the video, I will show you something very interesting, which is related with how we can use simple mathematics to see the cyclicality of the market. So if you have heard a lot of times, people, what is the cyclicality, I'm going to share with you exactly what is the real method of how to measure to see the cyclicality of the market. I will show you the exact calculus method, which involves the Fourier calculus, which is it's not Epic Fury, it's Fourier, it's the French mathematician, French genius. Anyway, if we take this here and we flip it around to keep it simple on a chart level, this can be an head and shoulder pattern that will be developing in the third quarter of the year. The bottom would be is going to be between August and September. I will show you the cyclicality data that I have for the trough in September. So I think, and from the data that I see, I would expect, or I would not be surprised, I won't be surprised if there's going to be a stock market drawdown in the third quarter, okay? And bottoming in September, and then is going to rally up again in the following months. So if you see the headlines, and in the European stock market, they have sold off 200 billion, 300 billion, 400 billion. It's big money, but it's meaningless because we are at an historical all-time high, 50,000 points, and that does not reflect the intrinsic value of and size of the economy in Italy in aggregate. That doesn't mean that there are no valuable companies listed on the Ftse-Mib, but the valuation, what you see here in the chart in the stock market, it's basically disconnected from the long-term cyclicality, and it does not reflect the real tangible value of the gross domestic product, or what Italian people call the PIL, il prodotto interno lordo. Quindi il valore di mercato è completamente scollegato, il valore di mercato, i valori di borsa italiana sono completamente scollegati dai fondamentali economici, dall'andamento dell'economia, l'andamento del PIL, l'inflazione, il potere di acquisto dei salari, eccetera, eccetera. E c'è una divergenza tra la ciclicalità, tra il ciclo armonico più lungo, che ha una durata di 18,4 anni, e l'andamento il valore in aggregato del Ftse-Mib. So as I said, there is a disconnection. There is a disconnection between the cyclicality of the market and the actual price action. So we could have some sort of head and shoulder pattern on a daily time frame. Then I want to show you what I was saying about the 18.4 years. So the most recent peak, it's was in May 2007. If we fast forward 2007 plus 18.4 years, we get to May 2025 plus 4 months, we get to September 2025. So we are past the peak of cyclicality, which is consistent with the fact that we are having a blow off top into the market, and then there is a divergence into the cyclicality. So here I can show you the Fourier analysis of the results of the Fourier transform. So if we see in simple layman terms, because I'm not a genius, so it's stuff that I'm learning, the full reconstruction, the longest, if we see here H1, which is harmonic 1, this pink line, okay, is the most dominant harmonic cycle of the Ftse-Mib. And you can see here that the line is at the top, it's about to make a bend and turn downward. Here, if we see the full reconstruction, 18.4 year cycle, the most recent peak is 2007. If we add back 18 years, we get to 2025 plus or give or take 4 months. So we get to September 2025. We are in May 2026. So we are past the peak of the of what this full reconstruction of the stock market cycle gives us as a result, as an output. So it means that we are a blow off top. The market is very much overextended in its cyclicality. And here you can appreciate how this line is very much overextended through the top, and eventually it will bend, turn lower, and there's going to be a stock market pullback or a stock market correction, which is within the mechanical cyclicality of the market. But what makes different this thing is that the cyclicality, it can be also a long-term positioning. Okay, so you can presume in a sense that the Ftse-Mib has reached the peak of the top of its stock market cycle, and then there's going to be a gradual drawdown in a long-term cyclical price action, let's say, and so that will mean that also large investors will position differently. They will be more bearish rather than bullish, if that's the term that you want to use. So here Ftse-Mib, dominant cycle 18.4 years. Yeah, there are very technical things, which are the amplitude of the spectrum of the cyclicality. So I have also another chart which is very straightforward, and I will share with you that now, so that we wrap it up quite quickly without any delay. So what I do here, I take the resulting data of the Fourier transform, and we ask the machine to do a forecast according to the cyclicality. And as you can see here, we have a trough in let me squeeze it out for you all. We have a trough in September 2026. Okay, so if we put in parallel the two things, that would perhaps help us a little bit. Okay, so that's the Ftse-Mib. Okay, so figure out we are here at the peak. Okay, and so if the peak it's here, the top of the mountain it's here. Okay, the cyclicality, the long-term cyclicality of the stock market, which I found out from the data, it's a 18.4 years. So we are at the top, then we are going to go downwards, which is normal. And the drawdown, the cyclicality to the downside, will bottom in September 2026. So perhaps it's not a certainty. I'm not doing any precise forecasting of that this is going to happen, but I'm very simply giving you, sorry about that, giving you a bit of context to why the stock market, Italian equities, they are going to see a capital outflows from the allocation in Italian equities, European equities. Let's say there's going to be turbulence in market. Perhaps there's going to be a sell-off, there's going to be a seasonal drawdown, which it happens to be in the third quarter of this year rather than to be in the first quarter of the year. And so the trough of the market will be in September 2026. Okay, let me squeeze it out to make it more comprehensible. Okay, so we have here a 5-year forward cyclicality forecast of the market, and we're going to have a bottom in September 2026. The cyclicality will turn around and will go up to August 2027. The drawdown will be around, it could be as deep as going to as the 40,000 points level, which it seems like quite a lot, but we are at historical all-time high of a very overextended to the upside. So actually it's healthy and it's normal that money, they are going to come out from equities. People, they will take profit from their gains on Italian stocks. Like there are stocks like Unicredit or Ferrari, or which have rallied a lot. So probably people or investors, they will find the opportunity to go for cash, basically, because the market is at the top. It's at the peak of the cyclicality. It's at the top, and the probability is that, as I said, Q3, the next 3 months, there's going to be a trough in the cyclicality of the market. Then I can see what is the future cyclicality, which by no means is an exact forecast, because as we see now, we are way past the peak of the cyclicality that the Fourier transform can predict, which was in September 2025. We are in May 2026, and the stock market kept going higher. Okay, so here you see here between April and May 2025, there were a bit of jittering, but it kept going higher. Okay, so these are blow off top. It's when the market is overextended, and there is a clear and evident divergence between what the stock market does and what the economy does. How is the real life of ordinary people? And so there is a clear divergence which widens and widens and widens. I think we got to the peak of this divergence for the moment, and so my hunch for the next 3 or 4 months, market that can be a bit choppy and volatile, and that the drawdown, the sell-off, the correction, it may happen actually, because there is what of you would say like a sort of exhaustion. So buyers, they've blown off the top here. There is no other fresh cash that can be deployed to the upside, so there is a buyer's exhaustion, and so the only reasonable thing to do is to basically take profit from the gains in equity, let the market draw down, and then have an adjustment of stock prices, more or less, because of companies which they will present their earnings call, so forth and so on, and then the upward cyclicality will start again. Okay, so if you see the market drawing markets in the red, don't be surprised, don't be alarmed, nothing to worry about. It's just a peak into the market. We are at the top, now we are going down the mountain, and then we will start to go up again. And yes, I don't have time to go into the technicalities, and there is no point.